What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room, presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. I'm Harrison Sanford. He's Danny Green. We're going to tap into a number of things on this NBA Cup Tuesday as we look forward to the games that are going to take place tonight. We won't touch too much on that. We'll come back and recap them later on in this week. But it's still a big time in the NBA because we have some results from last night that really have us thinking how the Western Conference is going to shape up. Are the Phoenix Suns for real? And what about the Minnesota Timberwolves, who seemingly can't win any game that's in clutch time? We also have some more drama in the Western Conference with Jonathan Kuminga apparently on the outs again with the Golden State Warriors. So much more to get into in this episode of Inside the Green Room. Oh, and by the way, before we finish, we're going to look at the best contracts in the National Basketball Association. And yes, we know some of them are like Victor Wembanyama. Of course, that's a great contract. But we're talking about the hidden gems during this holiday season. We're all looking for a bargain, and there's some good bargains in the NBA. So Danny and I will break that down before we get out of here. But first, let's get into what we saw on Monday night. A slim slate, but an entertaining one, unless you were a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. Danny, you know what's interesting? Matt Ishbia got under so much fire for coming into the league, and this perception, you know how the perception is. New owner comes in, wants to make a splash, and he makes a splash, and the splash goes wrong. Let's put it out plainly. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker with Frank Vogel, even though I think Frank Vogel's a good coach, did not work. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant out, Bradley Beal out, Jordan Ott in, Dylan Brooks in, Mark Williams in, and all of a sudden, Danny, excuse me, and all of a sudden, this Phoenix Suns team is looking like they could take out anybody or give anybody a good run, not named Oklahoma City or Denver.
Yeah, they look like a team, bro. Like, people doubted them even being a team. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just start over, we might as well blow it up. We didn't think that trade, the KD trade, was their final trade. We thought there was going to be more trades happening and that the pieces that they got in return wouldn't fit. Like, why would a Devin Booker and a Jalen Green and a Dylan Brooks all mesh and fit together? But they picked up some really good pieces, man, with Mark Williams, Gillespie, and letting him kind of emerge and grow. And again, you got to give credit to the coaching. Jordan Ott is doing the damn thing over there. He's figured out something. And a lot of people didn't know who he was or what he was about. He's showing, the world what he's about. He definitely could be up for Coach of the Year. But again, I put them because I feel like there is no real second tier. Like, I feel like OKC and Denver is so far ahead of everybody. There's tier 1 and then tier 3. And that third tier, it's like Houston, Golden State, Lakers, those groups. I put Phoenix right there with those groups. If they match up with any of those groups in the first round, they could be sending them home. Like, they're that good. They're good enough to win a playoff series, and if they have the right matchups, make a nice little run. Again, we have yet to see what Jalen Green has brought to the table. He's only played one game with them. But without him, they've done really well. If you have book, you can book it for a good amount of, like, his playoff performances. He's locked in. He's a vet. He's going to show up. Dylan Brooks is going to show up. We got to see what Gillespie, Mark Williams, all those guys do. But if you can get Jalen Green hooping, this is a high-powered offensive team, and they play really hard and play some good defense. We've seen what they've done to the Minnesota Timberwolves multiple times. Minnesota smoked the first game, and they got him again last night. So they might have their number. We've seen what they've done to the Lakers. So, like, they get up and down. They're young. They run. They play hard. You got to give this team a lot of credit. And this is a team that most people didn't think would be even in the play-in. They'd be at the bottom, trying to figure out how to get lottery picks or a top lottery pick. And this is a group, I said, it's probably going to be in the top 6. Jordan Ott could be in the line or the running of Coach of the Year this year.
When I watch the Phoenix Suns, it's one of those viewing experiences that reminds me or enforces to me that this game, this basketball that we're in, this era of basketball that we're in, is no longer for the old heads. It's no longer for the seasoned vets. As you look at how intense they play defense, how much they want to run up and down, and you just don't see that level of intensity from teams that have more older stars or just older in general. I've never seen it. I've never felt being old or being real veterans, like
seasoned,
tenured, seasoned veterans. I've never watched an NBA where it felt like
it's a disadvantage.
Those teams are at a distinct disadvantage. Yes, of course. When Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett went to the Brooklyn Nets, yes, they were old. It was a distinct disadvantage. But we're talking about teams like the Timberwolves who just couldn't muster up the same level of intensity to the point where, like, Mike Conley, Chris Finch took him off the floor at the end of the game last night. Mike Conley didn't have it. It looked like it felt like that's part of the reason why he took him off the court. Or if you just watch them play against when they played against the Lakers, and it just felt like we're gonna run you guys.
Yeah, it's a different league, bro. There's no back in the day, like seasoned vets. Not saying older vets, but seasoned vets. The game, they could slow the game down where they still be very, very effective in a half court, especially in the playoffs. Half court set more so. Today's game, playoffs are not. Regular season not, they're getting out and running. They don't care. The game ain't slowing down that much. And the seasoned vets, if you have too many of them on the floor, they're getting run out the gym. But again, Minnesota, to me, they're a good team, but they weren't a great team. And I feel like they got lucky last year with their matchups. And of course, Steph Curry being hurt helped them a lot. They're also hurting more because they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was absolutely balling, bro. And losing him changes the dynamic of your whole team. Defense, and it just shows the impact of one player. And I'm sure there's other reasons, but that one player could help them tremendously this year in terms of defense and scoring because he's putting up big numbers and helping space the floor for Anthony Edwards. He's balling in Atlanta right now.
It's interesting to watch how the Minnesota Timberwolves play and towards the end of the game where it felt like they just died on possessions. There was like a Julius Randle 3 that he took that he really didn't want to take, but he ended up taking it. It's almost like he settled for it. There was a play where Michael Conley just settled for a 3, and it just felt like they are missing they have a closer player, but they don't have a closer form. Like they don't have a closer infrastructure. They don't have an infrastructure allowing Anthony Edwards to be the greatest form of himself. And you see some reports that that the Minnesota Timberwolves are potentially interested in Kyrie Irving. And I say to myself, that might help. But even still, I don't know if a team that you might have to trade away by Conley. I just don't know if they have it as they are structured to go as far as they want, as great as Anthony Edwards is, because it just feels we've seen it too much now where Anthony Edwards has complained about getting double teamed. And you watch some of the games, they're not finishing well. If they're not blowing out a team, if they don't have a steady lead, I don't know if I can trust them.
Agreed. Now, I think it's not just roster. They had this issue in the past, and I think it was last year, maybe the year before. They were one of the worst fourth quarter teams, or one of the worst clutch time teams. And that wasn't just maturity. Like, I think it had to do with them figuring out coaching wise how to get those guys in the right spots and to execute down the stretch. They just showed a lot of immaturity in the past. And it's a problem that they really haven't fixed much. Also because, again, they've lost some pieces, which hadn't helped. But yeah, Anthony Edwards can't do it alone. Julius helps relieve some pressure, but he's not the second superstar guy that you need. Like, he's more, if on a winning team or a championship team, he's more of like your third option, you know? And that's not a slight to him. He's very good. And also, I think it's because I just don't think Ant looks at him as a guy that I can just give the ball to. Like, I can just trust to give him the ball every time consistently. He's going to give me, 30. Like Julius will give you 20 and 8, 18 and 9, but he's not going to consistently give you like a superstar second option is going to give you 25 plus. You can guarantee he's going to get you 25 plus on most nights. And I don't think that's Julius and just the way he scores, so Kyrie would help. Again, there's some other pieces that I feel like could really help them. I think Ant really does need. Julius is great, but I don't think he's a second. And he really needs like another wing or point guard like Star to relieve some of that pressure off of him. But yeah, they just don't have it roster-wise. And I think coaching-wise, I think that's the reason. That's what we saw in the past. What I've seen in the past is that they just couldn't execute down the stretch, and they had one of the worst fourth quarter or crunch time teams that we've seen in the league.
It's a shame because obviously Anthony Edwards is great, but it does feel like this iteration is in trouble in terms of capitalizing on Anthony Edwards in this present day state. And it does feel like, too, because they have set expectations, going back-to-back Western Conference Finals, anything but a Western Conference Finals will be seen as a failure, particularly with how great Anthony Edwards is. But truthfully, if you look at the roster, they might not. They don't seem like a Western Conference Finals team, and so the decisions might be made depending on how it breaks out from there. But we can talk about the Timberwolves for a while because we just will. It's Anthony Edwards' team. But I want to go back to the Phoenix Suns real quick because I want to focus in on Colin Gillespie and Mark Williams, two players who are playing big roles for the Phoenix Suns, particularly with Jalen Green out and Devin Booker missing time recently. And what I find interesting, or what I'm curious to hear from you, these are role players that are playing at a very high level for a team that wasn't predicted to do too much, and they're standing out.
Yeah.
Can you go back in your career and either for you or teammates that you had or friends that you had in the league, what happens when a player finally gets the green light? And I was watching the broadcast last night, and Colin Gillespie credited a lot of his improvement to Jordan Ott and the confidence that he gave him, basically saying that he has the green light. And one, you have to get the green light, which obviously every player doesn't get.
Yeah.
You could just see a pep in his step. And I feel like there's so many different players in the NBA. Once they get that green light, they go from, I hate to say this word because nobody's a bum, but they go from bum to like, oh snap, he's really good.
Household name, yes, because a household name.
I imagine at some point during this offseason, Mark Dagnall probably went to AJ Mitchell and said, yo, you can go now.
Yeah.
Ball out. And now we're looking at AJ. Yeah, now we're looking at AJ Mitchell like, oh my goodness, the Thunder got another one? And I don't think Colin Gillespie has that trajectory, and I don't know if Mark Williams does either. But them having that I'm supposed to be here and be productive mindset versus whatever mindset they had before, I think it distinctly changes the environment, and the expectations for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah,
and I don't think it's just with those two guys. I think Ott has really empowered a lot of their young, like Ryan Dunn, even they have Grayson Allen there, Jordan Goodwin. They have a couple other guys that have stepped in and played well because he's allowing them to play free. And I mean, it's worked out, but there's moments, of course, there's going to be times where you give a young guy a longer leash and it's going to be growing pains. You just hope that they progress and get out of it to where it's not like a bunch of like, oh, we're experimenting with this group and he's not panning out. So again, when I think about those times, I think about when I was playing in San Antonio and in Toronto. Like Nick, we played free. Even our groups during the regular season anyway, guys would thrive because of how the ball moved and how he empowered the second unit. But mostly in San Antonio, we knew there's going to be games where Tony was going to sit or Timmy and Manu was going to rest. And in that second unit, we really didn't have, some games we didn't have a guy, like a go-to guy to just give him the ball and score. And we never really played that way anyway. But, we played 0.5 basketball. It was like 0.5 seconds to make a decision. Like, we didn't know what the hell we're doing. So the defense damn sure didn't know what we're doing. And we continued to attack, drive, kick. guys like Patty Mills would thrive in it. Tiago Splitter, myself, Gary Neal, Marco Bellinelli, and of course
Marco Bellinelli. I forget about him.
We had Gary Neal. We had a bunch of guys that could thrive in that type of system atmosphere, and especially when they played free. And we had more so of it when the year that Kawhi was sitting out. He had the injury and he was sitting out, and the trade thing was happening. So we had to figure out ways to get some wins, or to get guys playing at a high level. Jonathan Simmons, we had Slow-Mo there. So, and it was not like we had a bunch of one-on-one players, but we found a way to do it as a group, and guys to be able to attack off closeouts and things of that nature. But when you get that type of encouragement and empowerment from a coach like Pop, and all the freedom, there's a big difference. You can even see it if you ever go to some of my highlights. It was a different Danny Green in 2016, 17. Whenever Kawhi was out, I was actually handling the ball, coming off pick and rolls, making some dribble moves, was getting in the bag a little bit, which you didn't see. And it wasn't more so him giving me the green light. It was more so I kind of took it because we had more freedom, but I showed him that I could do it. I was able to show a little bit more. And once I showed that I could do it, they let me do it more. It's just like AJ Mitchell. They showed he showed that he could handle the ball. And they're like, all right, we'll give you a little more leash. But you have to prove it. But again, it takes for your coach to kind of give you an opportunity to show it, to kind of take advantage of it. And these guys are really fully taking advantage, man. Mark Williams has done a great job. Jordan Goodwin, Ryan Dunn, Gillespie, of course, he's gotten in his bag quite a bit. Even Royce O'Neal, they have him coming. I haven't seen him make plays on the ball like that until this year. When Devin Books went out, they had him coming off pick and rolls or DHOs, making plays, throwing lobs to Mark Williams, or throwback. He's actually making point guard plays, or he not saying main guy plays, but he's playmaking as a second guard with that group, which is interesting. He's usually a floor spacer and a defender. But also Dylan Brooks has gotten in his bag, and he said it. I got a chance to interview him on NBA Today. He was like, "Man, I was excited when the trade happened." I was like, "Did you know when this trade happened, you'd have to get in your bag?" He was like, "I was actually kind of excited because I knew there was going to be an opportunity for me to be able to do so with this group, more so with this group than in Houston." He said the last 2 summers he's been working on some things, and you could tell he's gotten in that mid-range, that post area, and shown that he could do it. And now, so that they let this guy get 20 shots a game. He's obviously Devin Booker and Jalen Green's out, but even with them coming back, he's going to get 15 to 20 shots a game, which is not something that Houston looked for him to do. He was more of a defender and knock down shots when you're open type of guy, not put you in the post and we're going to feature you. He's shown that he's got a little bit more to his game than just defense.
And I feel as if a team like the Phoenix Suns, who made that trade to maybe get more depth versus having that big three, they just had this big three of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, and it felt like because of the way those players are, and because of how the money is kind of structured, everybody around them was kind of condensed into just learn how to shoot the ball, shoot the open jumper. Whereas now there's freedom across the board. And I think the teams now, Danny, that have that depth are the ones that will probably end up winning in the long run. I mean, just look at the finals from last year. It was not just the Oklahoma City Thunder, it was the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers were going 8-9 deep. Aaron Neesmith was making plays. Benedict Mathurin can make plays. TJ McConnell can make plays. Oh, yes, there is Tyrese Halliburton. There is Pascal Siakam, but there's others too.
Nembhard, Obi Toppin, they had big games from all those guys, and that's what made them dangerous for sure. Letting them play, Carlisle, letting them play free and building that confidence up throughout the year. That was huge for them because without those guys, I had the argument, people were just talking about how great. I think Tyrese is really great, but I think they took away how good the other guys were and how big of a factor they were to that group.
People were working so hard to make Tyrese Halliburton the superstar, which he's a great talent. Yeah. But we haven't seen a player have that much. He had true depth on that Pacers team.
And that's the reason why I thought that they were bad this year. People were like, oh, they just look terrible because Tyrese is out and Miles is gone. No, a lot of those guys didn't play. They sat out early in the year. I didn't see Nembhard and TJ McConnell for a while. Mathurin sat out some games. Pascal sat out some games. Like
Aaron Nesmith.
you need all those guys on like every night without Tyrese and Miles Turner. And I think if they had them every night, their record would not show. It would show a lot differently than what it is. But they just off to a bad start, and I think after that they just said, you know what, call it. We're just gonna have this year as a, you know, get some Isaiah Jackson, some momentum year, like bring these young guys up type of year, and see if we can get in the draft, because we are missing out on our center now, one of our top centers, and try to see if we can get one of those guys or a top pick. But again, they were talented and deep enough to where they could have been very much a playoff team in the Eastern Conference if those guys were healthy to start the season.
Healthy for sure. They are deep. It'll be interesting to see how the Phoenix Suns kind of pan out. Want to continue in the Western Conference now and talk about Jonathan Kuminga. And the drama keeps unfolding. It went from off-season drama. Is he going to sign the contract? Is he going to sign the qualifying offer? He ends up signing this 2-year deal. And I saw the Brotherhood of the NBA upset. From you, Danny, to other podcasts that I know about, or from social clips that I've seen, almost every former NBA player was upset at his agent and at the whole situation, because I think a lot of people look at Jonathan Kuminga and say, whether his production equals a rookie max or not, I think almost everybody sees him and says he should be a rookie max because he has that potential within him. It's either here nor there. Season starts, Warriors start playing well. Jonathan Kuminga then Warriors kind of get hurt or go on this long road trip where they can't really sustain how they start the season. Kuminga gets hurt, he misses time. Curry's hurt now, and Jonathan Kuminga just earned a DNP. And it just feels like it's not going to work. I can't explain why. People would just say, I'll tell you why. Steve Kerr's a hater. But it's just not working out, and it does seem as if when Jonathan Kuminga is eligible to be traded, which I believe is January, he will be out the door. Where he ends up going, who knows? But you can't have a player with this much potential, and he's getting DNPs. At this point, free the man. Yeah,
it's getting out of hand, bro. Like, this guy is so talented, and for you to continually not play him, not start him when you have guys out, you'll rest Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph, and this kid is still getting only 20 minutes a game. And I get that there may be, I wouldn't say an issue, but there is some limitations with him and Steve Kerr, because, you know, the saying is that, or what's being said is that he's not, you know, built for the system, or doesn't understand the system, or doesn't play the system, or conform to the system of what Steve Kerr is doing. And some are saying, oh, he doesn't know how to remember plays, he's low IQ. Maybe that's the case, but he's a baller. He has a great feel for the game, and regardless of what situation you put him in, he plays, and he plays well. His talent is show that. He's shown flashes of things you can't teach, and the potential, like you said, is the ceiling is the roof. He is one of those guys, man.
Here we go.
You know what I'm saying? He's that athletic. You can't teach that. He's that explosive. But yeah, it's just, it's sad. It's disappointing to see, man, because he's a young kid, and, you know, and again, if it'd be one thing if he was a locker room head case, the way Draymond speaks of him on his podcast is like, you know, Kuminga is one of the main guys that takes accountability. He's one of the main guys that's bought in. If that's the case, what is the issue? I don't understand what the issue is. If this kid is actually taking on the challenge defensively, picking up full court, and doing these things that Draymond asked him to do, and then listening to Steve Kerr and conforming to the system and trying to play within the system, why is he getting penalized? It's to be another thing if there's reports that him and he cussed out Steve Kerr, or him and Steve Kerr were bumping heads. That's a whole different conversation. But I haven't heard any of that. You know, it's not like he's Chris Paul and he's making suggestions and trying to change coaching schemes and all these other things, which, again, that's not enough for me to send Chris Paul home. He's there to bring in some smarts and suggestion as like a secondary coach on the bench. But they saying Chris was a pain in the ass. Now, if Kuminga was a pain in the ass on the bench, that'd be a different conversation. But I have yet to hear that. So I don't understand what the issue is, other than the fact that if you're trying to trade him, it doesn't make sense. Or if you're trying to keep him, it would make sense. If you're trying to keep his value low and nobody see what he can do, that's the only thing that makes sense. But you're only hurting yourself if you're trying to trade him to get something value back. I don't know, man. It's one of those things that's hard to figure out. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it has to be frustrating for him, and it probably be just better for everybody if they just close shop so that they can continue to like kind of move forward. Because just having him there, it just feels like it's taking away. It probably could just be taken away from the overall team vibes. I mean, imagine how he might feel with like some of the players who are getting minutes in front of him. This is a guy who was in the lottery. And this is a guy who's getting, well, maybe you could speak to this.
Pat Spencer. Pat Spencer's getting bucks. And, it's like, he's probably I could probably be doing that too if I got that opportunity.
Right. And I also would be interested too, Danny, just from a perspective that you've seen it before. Like, how do you think he feels if he's making a certain amount of dollars and he's not able, and they're not asking him to contribute?
Yeah,
because I know,
and he's been there for some time.
Money is a factor.
It is a factor, but I think it's also more sort of tenure. Like he isn't the longest tenured there, but behind Steph and Draymond, like who else is? I mean, Gary Payton the second, and him. Like everybody else is fairly new, like 2 or 3 years. He's been there 4 or 5 years now, like maybe even longer than that. So. You got guys like Pat Spencer coming in. This is only year 2 for him, and Buddy's been there. Buddy's only been there 2 years. Like there's only a couple guys that's been there 2, 3 years. Maybe Moses Moody been there. He's been there. He's one of the longer tenured. He's been there for some time, and seeing new guys come in. I think he was even there before Podziemski was there, and Podziemski's been there. This is his 3rd year, 4th year. So yeah. For you to be sign a contract, making that amount of money, been there for that many years, a part of the system, and other guys behind you get opportunity, it's disappointing, bro. And I've been a part of it. I've seen it in many different forms and other organizations. But seeing young guys kind of get the opportunity to take your place or take your minutes when you have done nothing wrong, it's hard to watch as a player, bro.
Yeah, it's gotta be infuriating for sure. Well, we'll see what happens. I want to get to the top 5 players or the top 5 contracts in the NBA. I'm looking up some of their details now. But before we do that, give me the one team that you would like Jonathan Kuminga to go to.
Ooh, who could really use a Jonathan Kuminga?
Who can really use a Jonathan Kuminga?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of teams that can use him. Even we were talking about that Minnesota team, like Minnesota could really use a Jonathan Kuminga, just having some youth.
How would that fit with Julius Randle?
They would make it work. He's fine. He's young.
I feel like that'd be more.
Julius is a 4. He's a 3.
That'd be more space. That'd be more spacing issues, especially if you already have Gobert.
It seems like a spacing issue. I mean, but in today's NBA, it's not. You see Toronto's making it work. You see Phoenix is making it work. It ain't like a bunch of shooting in Phoenix. They have a bunch of wings. Julius would be the 4. He'd be the 3. But you have another athletic. He's a Nickeil Alexander-Walker type player. He's one of those guys. Like he's a defensive guy that you need. The athleticism, the youth. You put him and Jaden McDaniels on the wings. You have a great, like line. You know what I'm saying? And it helps keep some pressure off Anthony Edwards, another athlete like that. They could definitely use him. And I know it looks weird on paper, but again, we've seen Toronto make it work. We've seen Phoenix thus far make it work. It ain't like you need a bunch of. It helps to have shooting, but if you have a bunch of young kids that can get up and down the floor, that helps you more, bro. Just being able to run and keep up with today's NBA. But I'm thinking out west, outside of like Minnesota. Not that he's that second star, but he can be developed into a star and help a Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards group. But outside of them, I'm trying to think of a team who actually, I'm not saying struggling, but needs like another star. I could see him like fitting the mold of like an Indiana team. If they had, Tyrese in the center, if he's in the Indiana, they have some pieces to give up.
I see him running in. I see him running in Indiana with them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would all depend too, though, Danny. Like, they're gonna have to replace the Miles Turner role. They're gonna need a 5 that can shoot. I think that's gonna be the first objective, and then you kind of move from there. But he could fit there.
Yeah. Again, I think there's a plethora of teams that could use him. I don't know if they have the pieces to give up. I think Cleveland has the pieces to give up to get another wing, like him and DeAndre Hunter on the wing. If you're we move one of the bigs or one of the guards, he could be in Cleveland. He could be, obviously, Milwaukee needs help. Like, he could be in Milwaukee.
The popular place where people are putting him is in Golden State. I mean, is in Sacramento, just because of his.
Yeah, that's like Chicago. I was thinking more Chicago. Yeah. I think Chicago's more fit. Like him and Giddey, like better fit there. They need another long, like athletic wing. Sacramento, I think, as it's constructed, is a place to die. Like you go in there, you're not going to win. It's going to be terrible. It's not good. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's a good brand of basketball right now. Not that it's great in Chicago, but that Billy Donovan has those, like, they're playing more free. And I think he has a better
chance to be somebody.
Better chance of turning around a program than they do. Like, I feel for Doug Christie over there in Sacramento, man. It's going to be hard to turn that around. But I think Billy Donovan could do something special with, a kid like that in Chicago with the group, with Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Vooch. You got Herter. You got a lot of, up and then they just play free. That would make them pretty dangerous. It would make them better, of course.
All right, we almost got to get out of here, but we promised the top 5 best contracts in the NBA, so that is what we're going to do now because, it is the holiday season. Who doesn't like to get a good bargain? So let's do it. Top 5 best contracts in the National Basketball Association.
Let's hear him.
Number 5, Ryan Rollins, making $4 million this year, making $4 million next year, and has a $4 million option for 27-28. He would, if this was last year, he wouldn't have been on the list. But I think, Danny, that he's proven that he is at the very worst, a rotation player on a very good team. Like, obviously, he's getting a lot of opportunity because of how the Milwaukee Bucks are structured. But this is a guy who plays defense. He's shooting over 39% from the 3-point line. You got those two elements there. He can obviously bring up the ball. We're going to see how he meshes with Kevin Porter Jr. Now that Kevin Porter Jr. is back in the rotation. But if you give me a guy that can shoot 39 from the floor, can hit and can play defense and somewhat control the offense or run the offense, I would be interested. He's averaging 6 assists this season, hitting threes, playing defense, $4 million. And what makes it a good contract?
Scoring the ball.
If it was just averaging 17 points per game. If it was just $4 million for this year, you'd be like, okay, nice, but we'll see. It's $4 million the year after that, and $4 million a year after that. That is a value contract. That's my number 5.
It's a very good pick, man. I didn't know he was under a 3-year, $12 million deal with the option. Like, he's a starter. I mean, realistically, I think on a really good team, he's an off the bench, like backup point guard or like scoring guard off the bench for you. That gives you depth. But said on any regular team in this league, he's a really good fit and floor spacer and help you. He's proven himself this year that he can do it consistently. He's doing some good things, man, for himself. Set himself up for a nice little payday.
Yeah, he's gonna have the ball out for a while to get it, but he's setting himself up for sure. Number 4, Deuce McBride. He is a standout defender for the New York Knicks, probably their 3rd best perimeter defender. He hits the 3 well, still kind of struggling with like the playmaking aspect of it all. But when you talk about defenders who can shoot the ball, Deuce McBride fits that bill, and his contract details are one of the best in the NBA. He's making $4.3 million this year, and is actually going down in value next year, making 3.9 in 26-27. He's shown that he could start. There's been games where OG has missed. Mikal Bridges isn't missing any games, but when OG misses games, or let's say Cat misses a game, or
Jalen misses games, Jalen Brunson been out,
or Jalen Brunson misses games, he could go into that starting lineup. Yes, he's not going to give you the off the bounce production that you usually get that you would expect from the guard, but he could definitely shoot the rock. He could play defense. That's all you could ask. What more could you ask for when you're only paying the guy 4.3 per year? He is definitely one of the better contracts in the NBA. There's a lot of guys who can't even do what he's doing, making a lot more. On the season, then he's averaging 11.6 points per game, and he's shooting 44% from three. Yes, he has to qualify as one of the best bargain contracts in the NBA.
Absolutely. 44% for threes. That's a high clip. And the fact that he's doing it in a major city where the lights are bright and there's a lot of criticism, like many guys fold under that type of microscope, that type of pressure. He's showing up and showing out. He's doing great for them off the bench and even when he starts. So yeah, and I didn't know his contract went down. That's kind of crazy. They got him for a really cheap deal. That's a steal for them. But Deuce is really showing up and he's giving them the depth that they need because honestly, I thought there was going to be more from other guys like Wabusele. Like I thought would be a huge plus. And then also Brogdon retiring. That kind of hurts you. But him and Shamet have given y'all something. Clarkson is starting to pick up too. But it's really, really him and Shamet that have shown out and helped that bench a lot.
And he's shooting it with volume 2, 6 threes per game. All right, let's go. Number 3, and I got to kind of go through this a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
A.J. Mitchell from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
We know he's not number 1
this year.
Well, go ahead.
He's absolutely been balling. $3 million this year, 2.8 the year after that. Has a team option for 2.8 after that. We'll see what happens. He might end up getting some type of extension. He's obviously hooping on this 3-year, $9 million deal. There's nothing really I can say, Danny. He's a baller. He's the point blank period. He's averaging 14 points per game, shooting 34% from 3. You kind of want that to be a bit higher. When he gets that up, we'll be interested to see how he kind of pans out. And also, too, it must be noted, a lot of his production was happening when Jalen Williams was out. He could be higher, but I don't know how it's going to all sort itself out when Oklahoma City is truly fully healthy. We'll see his production. We know what's there, which is good for him and good for the Thunder. But how much production will he be giving you on that contract when everybody's around? That is to be determined.
Most improved nominee.
Most improved nominee for sure. Number 2. Let me make sure I pull it up here. Peyton Pritchard. I didn't realize, Danny, that he's being paid.
Yeah, 5.
As if he's getting some good
$10, $11 million a year.
He's funny. This year he's making 7.2. Next year after that 7.6. In 27-28, 8.3. This is Peyton Pritchard, who has shown this year that he's not just a cog in the system. He could be a starter in the system. 17 points per game.
I thought he was making 10, 11. I thought he sounded like a $40 million deal.
He's not even a double-digit millionaire in terms of per year earnings, and he's absolutely a baller. 17 points per game. Now his 3-point shooting is down. He's at 34% this year, but last year he shot 40%. Yes, no Jason Tatum, and obviously that changes things. But when you get a guy who could hit threes, set up the offense, and who's made big plays in championship moments, and you don't have to go over $10 million, that's a big deal. Last one for me, Danny, we got to go. Denny Afia, who feels like all of a sudden he's like a walking triple-double. 25.8 points per game, shooting over, let's see here, shooting 47% from the field, 38% from 3, dropping 6.3 dimes, over 7 rebounds a game. Danny, I didn't realize he's barely making change either. I guess all them years in Washington kind of made it kind of weird. What makes his contract the best, Danny? 14.3 this year, but then next year, 13.1, and then in 27-28, Danny, 27-28, 11.8. He has a decreasing value contract, and the guy's a walking triple-double. Oh, my goodness. The
all-star numbers this year, too. He's averaging like 25, 7, and 8, 6, something crazy. He's put up all-star numbers,
He's going to be an all-star, and his contract is decreasing in value. An absolute steal for sure. There you go. Those are your best 5 deals in the NBA. We got to go, but we'll see you on Wednesday after some NBA action and NBA Cup quarterfinals.
Y'all know what to do, man. Re-rate, subscribe, review. Peace.